Happy Monday, everyone. So today I wanted to do something a little different, and probably because I haven't read so much, I haven't done something like this before, but I am starting to read a little bit more. I prefer reading like fiction, but to get more like in a more studious way, I picked up a book that I have read before, and I'm reading again because this book is a book that I came across when I was, gosh, it's hard to say it was in the beginning, but it was during a shift in my understanding of certain things. Especially when we talk about spirituality, it came at a time where I wanted to know if certain things were even possible, were these things real, and then all of a sudden this book, which had been sitting like in this house for a very long time, all of a sudden it was there. I said, well, let me just pick this book up. Never thought to read it, but then I read it. Now, this isn't the original book that I had. I actually loaned it to a friend, and she never returned it. And I guess I understand why, because it's an amazing book, and it is Of Water and the Spirit, and it's by Malidoma Patrice Some, and Ritual Magic and Initiation in the Life of an African Shaman. So like I said, I've read this book before, and it was amazing. Transformative, activating, all of those things. I think everyone should read this book, especially if you are in the diaspora of African descent, and you know that, if you are of African descent, you should read this book. I think everyone should read this book, but especially my people out there, because it talks a lot about colonialism. It talks a lot about Christianity. It talks about going through an initiation. I think a lot of us feel as if that's something we want to do, or we feel connected to that idea, but we don't understand what. Last night I was talking to a man, and he goes, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. And this is a man who's, been around for a long time. He said, Christianity is evil, but we have to have something. And I was like, that's really interesting. And at the time, of course, I had this book in my hand. I said, you should read this book. So I'm just picking a sentence from this book. I just kind of like flipped around, and I just want to share this. So this is just kind of like a nice little inspirational thought. And this is what he writes. Fully occupied with my hunger, I had discontinued dwelling on my fate. I began to feel like it was perfectly natural to be out there in the middle of nowhere trying to go somewhere. Is this the first sweet taste of freedom? I don't know. Something about that passage really stood out to me. In context, this is about, he actually escaped from seminary, and he was going back to find his home. And he had been taken away from his home at a very young age. And so now he was trying to find his way back. And he was pretty much going through the jungles in West Africa, and starving, and just trying to figure out how to get there. Only thing he knew was that it was east. And so he was going to go east. And so this sentence and this passage comes from that point where he's like starving, trying to figure it all out, but at the same time possibly feeling a sense of freedom, in the sense that he is trying to get somewhere, and that's all that really matters. And I think that really stands out to me, because I feel like when you are awake and you're in this matrix or reality, or whatever you want to call it, the world is different. Everything is different, and all the ways that you know, or that have been shown to you, no longer fit your path. And there's something that you want to do, and you don't even know how. And so it's interesting to me to read it this way, and like, oh wow, this is what freedom is. Just knowing that somehow, even though you're hungry, and there you are hungry, you're hungry for something, You know that there's this whole world out there for you, and you don't know where you are, but you know you're going somewhere. You know that there's a direction that you're going. I never thought about this, but could that be freedom? Is that the definition of freedom? Could that be what true freedom is? That it's not so much about knowing exactly everything. You know that there's a home that you want to go to. And I think a lot of us say that, and I've said it, especially in the last few weeks. I'm like, I want to go home. And I don't even know what that means, but I just know I want to go home. And that's where I'm kind of seeking, and that's where I'm going to. And so when I read this passage, I really connected to it. So I'm just sharing it with you all. I say pick up the book and read it for yourself. If you have read it, what do you think about it? Put in the comments. And if you haven't read it, get it. It is worth every penny that you will spend. I had the paperback before, so then I went and got the hardcover because I said, you know what, this needs to be around for a very long time. So I decided to get the hardcover so I could always have it. A nice kind of sturdy binding. And once again, I'll just read this before I leave and just leave you with this. Fully occupied with my hunger, I had discontinued dwelling on my fate. I began to feel like it was perfectly natural to be out there in the middle of nowhere, trying to go somewhere. Is this the first sweet taste of freedom? I don't know. That moves me. All right. Well, happy Monday. Check me out on kikiseeds.com. And that's it. If you have any questions and you want me to address something in a video, let me know. All right.